So
This meeting is being recorded.
now we are being recorded. Okay.
You can still say that he's a bully. It's being recorded.
But the best thing is we bully him back.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Oh, see, Sunil, myself, and Pramesh, we do not share anything in common as far as the curriculum goes in life.
It's so important. I suppose that's how you have stayed on. I lost him every other day.
Yeah.
And I said, I have nothing to do with you. So, same spaces, if you share same spaces with two bullies, now that I have also grown horns. So,
I tolerated his
very
high
difficult to.
goose for a period of time, and then I told him,
You
sorry.
guys are talking behind my back.
Yeah, we're just talking. We are
Okay, we are getting started. Welcome.
प्रियजनों की निंदा हो रही है अभी.
Hi.
प्रियजनों की निंदा.
Very good morning to one and all present here. I'm Sneha R, President of Zest, the English Literature Department of English, Deen Dayal Upadhyaya College, University of Delhi. I'm honored to have been given the opportunity to welcome you post-pandemic world reevaluating valuation. Moderated by Dr. Ratnakar, who's Andrew M. Mellon, Professor of English at the University of Pittsburgh. He's the director of PITT's Humanities Center. So I would like to welcome you, sir. I would like to welcome Professor Chandrasekhar Mayanan.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, young professor at Midwestern University College of Pharmacy. Welcome, sir. Denver, Arizona.
There's something wrong with you.
English.
No. It's
yeah, because
it's choppy,
you're breaking in between.
Yeah, very choppy.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah.
Your voice is breaking. Your voice is breaking.
Your internet connection may not be strong.
So I have a suggestion. Are you on a Zoom link, Sneha?
Yes.
But the internet connection is.
Switch off the video and try to talk.
Am I audible
Yes.
now?
Much better.
Okay. So I would like to welcome Professor G.J.V. Prasad, Professor from Center for English, Jawaharlal Nehru University. I would like to welcome Sunil Tandon. He's a former IAS officer and former president and CEO of GMR Infrastructure. And we have two of our alumni, Jagriti Gupta and Mehul Rawat. So Jagriti Gupta of technology, and Mehul Rawat, he's an assistant professor at the Department of English, Graphic Era, Hill. Thankful to all of you. You took time off your busy schedule and you've come here. You've joined us over here. I would also like to.
Yes.
Okay. I would like to welcome Dr. Rohit B, the teacher in charge, Dr. Pramesh Ratnakar, Mr. Ranveer Kumar, and Dr. Pooja Bharadwaj Sharma. I would like to welcome all the attendees of today's workshop. So thank you so much for being with us. And before beginning, please quiet down. Before beginning, I would like to request all of you to kindly deter from indulging in any activity which will cause disturbance to the workshop and the speakers. And this is being streamed live on the Zest YouTube channel. So I would request all of you to kindly share the links with your friends and acquaintances. So I would now like to hand over the platform to Dr. Pramesh Ratnakar. Sir, please.
Thank you, Sneha. A big welcome to all of you and a very big welcome to all of you as well. This workshop, because let me tell you how it originated. Somewhere in the department meeting, once in the department meeting, we were talking about examinations, and one of our younger colleagues, Mr. Ranveer, brought it up, and he kind of said that the students are facing some strange kind of fear this time because they are going to be giving they're giving offline exams, and the kind of fear they have is something different from the kind of thing that they had earlier because they just recovered from COVID and all that. So we got talking about it, and the problem was named, and ultimately we thought of a solution. And the solution was, let's get the students to examine the brightest and the most the best writers that we know. So, right at the pinnacle of literary criticism is Professor Jonathan Narek, and he has written an answer to the examination which we set. And that answer has been analyzed, commented upon, marks and kind of were in for trouble. That's the workshop about talk about the examination.
We're losing you, Pramesh. Can't hear you properly.
What they
Connection.
I think it's settled down. Do I need to use? Once again, the idea was we decided to do this evaluation. That actually not just re-evaluation, we are recasting evaluation. And on two fronts. One is how to write examination answers so that we feel more confident about it. And other front is how to tackle the kind of stress and tension that diseases can give. The pandemic has given or left us on our mind, the imprint that it has left in our minds. So we deliberately chose the text, the kind of examination which the panelists have written answers to, which had to do with the ailment and with me fighting that ailment, Parkinson, and so on. And the answers, all these people have written out answers. And all the answers have been looked at by the first and second year students. They commented upon it. And let me show you one page just now for the sake of it. We'll put it up on the screen, and you will see one page, and then we'll take it up a little later. But all of you guys have met each other, all of you now. Or do I need to introduce you now?
We have been introduced to each other.
So Professor Art needs to be introduced, reintroduced, because there was some connection problem that time. I would like somebody to introduce introduce Professor Jonathan R. Arak, sorry.
Thank you. But it's an unusual name and nobody gets it
Sorry.
right. So don't do it.
Since something went wrong with the audio, so we could not hear his introduction. Please.
Pramesh, you are on mute if you're trying to talk.
I will briefly introduce myself just to say that I have recently retired from having been professor of English at the University of Pittsburgh, where in 2008 I founded the Humanities Center, which I directed until my retirement.
Fantastic. Very nice. My niece is there in University of Pittsburgh right now.
Oh, what does
Yeah.
she do? What does she
She
do?
is a faculty of psychiatry. Yeah. She is a psychiatrist.
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Her husband is a cardiologist and she is a psychiatrist.
We have a great medical then.
I know.
No, you know.
And my brother is a psychiatrist himself. So we have a whole lot of nervous system imbalance going on here. Oh, good. So Pramesh, what's up, man? You're shifting from one video to another video. What's going on?
So you have met Professor Jonathan now. You have met Professor Jonathan,
Yeah,
and
we met.
Professor Jonathan has met Jagriti and Mehul and Sunil.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Can I request you one thing? There is a speaker which is on in the same room. Can you volume, because that's echoing along with whatever you're saying. It's repeating everything. In the room in which you're sitting, there is a speaker which is on. So
Okay, I think it has been corrected.
Yeah.
We have our Mr. Rajkumar here is from the computer center now, so hopefully things will be better now. Rajkumar, we are okay now. Good. As I was saying, we have reversed roles, and we have got, you guys are going to get your results today, and the examiners will present their arguments, and let's see how you react to that. The real significance of the you learn from things like pandemics. If you learn from things that happen to us, then you can't do things like exams. You want to get across through the workshop. Would you like to share a little nervous about things like this when you people read each other's answer? Maybe what it felt like to be, because I'd love the audience to listen to what you have to say about the fee for an exam. So do you want to start?
Well, way I was constrained by time, so it was pretty, in a way, it was pretty easy. I just sat and whatever came to my head, I just wrote that out about half an hour's time and mailed it to you without reading. So, and whatever I felt, and so that is how I approach this. That is how I actually have approached most of the exams which I in college. Exams were more of fun rather than a burden in a way. The only burden was when I was taking my exams to become, and only failures in life are when I seriously took an exam with all the stress, all the tension. Can you please tone down the speaker, Ramesh? Yeah. So the only time I failed in an exam in my life, because twice I took exam for the combined pre-medical tests, as they were called, CPMT in those days, and I failed in both the exams. And those were the exams which I was very tensed about. Those were the exams which I really took as an exam. And apart from that, throughout my life, even when I sat for and I took the IS exams, I never bothered whether, because I was already a lecturer in the University of Delhi, I was enjoying my life and I never could care whether I joined the IS or not. It was a challenge given to me by the principal of my college, who said, all guys who do not enter the IS come and become lecturers here in my college. So, so that was, and exams were never felt without really worrying about what ultimately would happen. You tend to do far better in life, degree, or there are so many other exams in life. And that's why I could relate to what Pramesh has mentioned in his video, that exams that he's taking even PD as a game. And if you take it as a game, enjoy the game and move forward in life, I don't think anybody can stop you in life. So that's my two bit on the exams. We can't hear you, Pramesh.
Yeah, and you can hear me now. That back in India. And to the extent that Sunil cracked it, he'll be a master of exams. And when he tells you, all of you, that you will do better if you do not stress yourself out. But the big question is, how do we not stress out? Which we tried out to sort of de-stress our students in this workshop. And let's take this the idea of and so on. Play is always something which you enjoy doing for its own sake. And significance, which is exams and writing of answers and so on. If you learn to express yourself, if you learn to put your own agendas into the answers and so on, you will always have a better understanding and a better deal from the exams. I am going to ask some of the comments about the answers that you have written, and the idea is once again reversal of a major kind, and the kind of insights they have got into your answers is something wonderful thoughts. One of the things I would love the panelists to react to this. Do we kill our students' creativity when we frame our examination, the way we frame our questions, the way we frame the way we structure our exams? Jonathan would be a good person to talk about this, because he told me he ensured all through his learning days not to give exams by taking on courses where there were no exams.
True, I said that. I would love to hear what some of the students have said about the papers we have written for them.
Shekhar Mayanel Saab, will you say something?
Sure.
About your career your career as an examining?
Me and the yeah, both sides will get better. It is not the student's responsibility. False notion that somebody is going to evaluate them, judge them. When I was teaching neuropharmacology online, actually, it was all online, Midwestern University College of Pharmacy, as an adjunct professor. It was a fun thing for me because I can devise my own courses and I can teach them pretty much neuropharmacology, which I had taught in Bangalore when I was assistant professor in National Institutes of Mental Health and Neuroscience there. So what the biggest challenge that in the faculty meeting we had was, the chairman used to say, well, you know what, it's very difficult these days because everything is online. So exam is online and we have to make sure that the students do, even though the exams are online, they still have cheat sheets everywhere. So what to do with that? I said that's the problem of the teacher. It is not the problem of the student. If you're not creative enough to create an exam which allows them exam, not in open book, there can be discussion on the questions, and then they can come up with an answer, because everybody's question is different. Everybody's question is different. So they can talk to each other and discuss. So why do we have to have one exam fits all? Let you become creative enough to create different kind of questions which cannot be found in the textbook, which can only be found when you have understood the stuff. So let it be open book. So that,
allow me to interrupt.
allow
me to interrupt.
Yes.
Shekhar has shared his. Jonathan, you were going to say something. Did we interrupt you?
I'm sorry.
Were you planning to say something, and were you planning to say something which we stopped you from? We sort of interrupted you.
I certainly expect I will say something, but I'm so eager to learn what your students have done with the papers that they've been given.
Okay, I am going to step out and give the floor to the students now. Let me first get in. This is Abhiksha. Abhiksha, please share your comments and your. Let me first get in and what you did during the workshop.
A very good morning to everyone present here. Am I
Yes,
properly audible?
please.
Yes. Very good morning, everyone. Good morning to our dear professors and honorable guest, Vishwas, and I'm from first year. So yesterday we conducted a session where Pramesh he introduced us to his essay and story of the struggles and how he has been dealing in different ways with his Parkinson's disease. And then he handed us some papers and showed us a question sheet. And a lot of the students were a little bit perplexed and confused as to what these papers are and what are we supposed to do. We have our entire lives, I'm 19, so all 19 years of my life, I have been a student and I have been the one to be examined. And as an examined, I would say I was both perplexed, surprised, and a little bit excited that I have had the chance to examine someone else. And since I'm just the papers are not accurate or as well as a professor does, but I enjoyed this small exercise, and this is how I graded the papers. So I divided my grading system into an essay, a poetry, and videos. And then commentary on PD, Parkinson's disease, relating to the compositions. And then understanding of the question and mentions of improvement areas. Since the essay is a critical commentary and not just an informative commentary, I figured there should be mentions of some improvement areas in the compositions, Pramesh Ratnakar. So the first essay I graded is connecting the dots, and which is Sir Shekhar Mayan's. So of all the 4 halves that I based my grading upon, it was 5 marks each, so total marks 20. And what positive points I found in Shekhar sir's essay and answer actually is the point of views were very interesting. The discussion of Parkinson's disease's effect and relation with the human psyche was mentioned. He also mentioned the history and connection of yoga with Parkinson's disease and how yoga heals the human body without allopathic or personal notes for composer, which was very interesting, and I haven't found in any of the essays. It was very well organized, and Sir had a very well understanding of the question. So the only negative I found in his essay is that, according to me, I found the negatives in his essay that there were not enough pointers for improvement areas. So based on my grading system, I graded the critical commentary as 4.5 out of 5. Commentary on PD relating to the compositions 5. Understanding of the question as 5. Mentions 5 out of 5. Essay as 80. The next essay I have got is, excuse me for a moment. So this is Jagriti ma'am's essay, and the first positive point I found in Jagriti ma'am's essay is it was a very systematic essay. It was a very systematic commentary. I'm sorry, am I properly audible?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So the what I found interesting that it was a very systematic commentary. It was a proper introduction, there was a proper body, and there was a proper conclusion. And it was a very well-researched answer. There was a cross connection of interesting point of views, mentions of Achilles, and a lot of other historian texts and figures. And it was very informative. The negatives I found in Jagriti ma'am's essay is that it was more informative than critical, and there was not enough questions raised. In a critical essay, I feel like the questions are being raised in there and not enough mentions of areas of improvement. So the way I graded, again, in force category of connectivity was 4 out of 5. Commentary on Parkinson's disease is a 4 out of 5. Understanding of the question, 3.5 out of 5. And then mentions of improvement areas is 2.5 out of 5. So a total score of 14 out of 20. Next, we have Jonathan Alex. So this next we have Professor Arif's essay. Found in Professor 4 out of the 3 essays I received. I couldn't see the a particular observation of the poems, a very important improvement point, which was the poem's last line. Between the idea and the reality, between the notion and the act, falls the shadow. It was very similar to T.S. Eliot's. That is T.S. Eliot's poem, The Hollow Man, was between the wanting and the doing, between the impulse and the act. So Professor Arif pointed out how the poem could have been ended in a more powerful note, which is poetry comes to him, but not the poem. So he reinstated originality and a powerful ending as well. It was a very keen observation made. And positives I found was a lot of improvement areas were pointed upon. It was critically examined, the poem, and they were found underlying roots with T.S. Eliot. And he presented a very different conclusion and a point of view from others relating to the videos and the essay and the poem. So the negatives I found in Professor Aric's essay is mentions too many improvement areas. And there was not enough mention of Parkinson's disease and its relation with the essay and videos and the poem. And not enough positive discussion about how the three of them, the three compositions, the essay, the video, and the poem, are related, linked together through the idea of Parkinson's disease and living a better life. So the way I graded Professor Aric's essay in every section is it was a critical commentary as 3 out of 5, commentary on Parkinson's disease relating to the compositions 2 out of 5, understanding of the question 3 out of 5, mentions of the improvement areas 5 out of 5. So out of a total score of 20, I graded this essay 13 out of 20. Thank you very much. That was how I graded my seat.
That's a first class, 13 out of 20.
Yeah, first class.
Yay! You pass with flying colors.
I'm going to give you one of the toughest examiners I've ever come across, and we can have a conversation.
First of all, good speakers and my respected professors and all the attendees who are present
Good
here.
morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
It's a pleasure to meet you all. So I don't know if like Pramesh sir is kidding or not. Like he told me like I'm the toughest examiner he ever come across. Even though I didn't like fully trust it all, but I'm continuing with my grades, like what I've examined. So the first essay I've got, like the essay I marked the highest is the connecting the dots, which is by Shekhar Minor, sir. Sir, the points I have not all. So I'm just going to state my points which I have stated. So I have noted like use of word abbreviation, like a kind of usage we not use in an answer sheet, like it's brave. So we don't use it in answer sheet. Or the evaluator, I said that it is not tolerable to use a use of such word in the answer sheet. So then you have stated a line saying that, so what to do? You shall ask me. You would have not used that statement. You have started it like in my perspective or something in a formal, like what I've noted at first. And the other thing I noted is like your paragraph. There is multiple splitting of paragraphs in an answer sheet, which would have connected, interconnected. You are doing it as a paragraph completely, but it have a lot of multiple splitting of paragraphs. And the other thing I noticed is you should have got more into the like outside comments rather than just focusing on what the content or material which have given to us to discuss about. So rather than going to the more outside comments, you would have mostly used yeah. The other thing I noted in almost every exam sheet is the use of word PD as Parkinson's disease. But in an exam sheet, it is not very tolerable to use PD as a thing because we need to mention it as Parkinson's disease as well. So that is it. And the last part, sir, the very positive thing I noted is the last part of this answer sheet is very significantly stated, and like I really it was so significant. Significantly stated, the points were completely I graded because this Professor Jonathan Aric's essay, but I graded him on 65 out of 100. The first thing I noticed, he have given a nice introduction. Actually, I really like the introduction, but the points I noted it, like it could have been much more of the content of the videos and the material rather than putting of the personal throwbacks and memories which we have stated in the exam sheet. And the ending was good, but
like he have stated a fact in but is focusing upon the poem. So it's 65 out. The next, Sunil Tandon sir, 60 out of 100. The first thing noted is like the first thing I have noted is like very first thing I've noted in every exam sheet is the use of PD because it's not tolerable, literally not tolerable in an exam sheet. You had explained it's a Parkinson's disease as well, and also I noted some paragraphs which could have been better if you have given it as an introduction. It is a it's a complete paragraph connected accordingly to as an introduction, but you were you were splitting the paragraphs and the introduction of the like Pramesh sir and the disease that were gone to so far rather than to just
Audible,
just,
not audible.
Lost sound.
so far.
Sound is patchy. Sound is patchy.
There is no audio.
So far. Am I audible right now?
No.
Yes.
Okay, sir. So what I
Try
noted is
again.
it's a nice.
Yes. Try again, Nandana.
Ma'am, am I audible right now?
Yes.
Okay, let me try.
कैमरा कितना हिला रहे हैं भाई?
Am I audible right
Let's
now?
right now.
Am I audible right now? We only
Stop.
okay. Okay. Yeah. So the next point I noted is the evaluation, but it could have given a better, more impact if it was written in a more elaborative way. And the last paragraph, I thought it was like it is explained very well, but still it have also used the exact things from the materials itself. So it would have been like more elaborated in you are on 100%. The next essay I've got is of Mehul Rawat, like our alumni.
Mehul will leave.
Okay.
Because Mehul, she's marked her lowest. So I think you got how Nandana is operated in the. I'm running a bit short of time, so I want to quickly run through one or two. Big hand. I'm going to quickly read out a couple of more. I'll do the reading because we are running short of time. Some comments that are there in the corrections that they did. This is a comment by
by Tavish. This is Jonathan's essay, and Tavishi has criticized one. So the whole generational gap thing comes out, but look at the way she expresses herself. Both words and expressions of body language, for example, the facial expression, have the power to reflect the soul. While reading his words, you get an idea of his emotional and intellectual take on the disease. But when the camera zooms in on the face and how he connects with the surrounding, that is Pramesh Ratnakar, how he connects with his surroundings, both words along with his happy countenance reflect a soul so important, so vibrant, so strong, and a mind of peace and acceptance. You get to know that what he says are not mere words, he lives them. He does what he feels, he shows his pain, and he manifests the forces of the universe to expand his body and soul. To me, these two diverse things complement each and reflect the soul. And she has given Jonathan 40 out of 100. Then one more component. Pramesh is the embodiment of positivity, etc. And that is not to say he is despondent, sad, or morose about his life. To put it simply, there is peace in acceptance. And the poem offers both acceptance and the bliss when the struggle ends. So she's critical of Sunil's reading of the poem. This is Tavishi, and last one, Sharath is not here. That was a comment on Sharath's essay. And this one is this is a simple comment on GJVs, but I want to read out. Here is this is the one. This is on Jagriti's essay. This has been written by Sprishti. Are you here? Not only through physical action, but also through mental action, emotionally. One of the most difficult things is not to let the weight, but to prep the mind up, lifting the weight, not to be buried under the weight. Another point is Mr. Ratnakar is a sports person, a teacher, but before anything, he's a human. It would have been more profound if his will as a normal human being was mentioned more. She has underlined this hallmark of a true sportsman and then put this comment. This is a lovely comment. Teachers who go out of their way to help students. Jagriti has quoted that. This isn't a remark, but if Mr. Ratnakar is reading this, you remind me of Robin Williams. Yeah. Big hand for Mr. Ratnakar. I am leaving the floor to the panelists. Please take over and say whatever you feel like. And because it's difficult to coordinate from here. So, Jonathan, would you like to start?
I think that it was an extraordinary experience for me to read all of the responses to a challenge to our humanity. The experience then of encountering the student grading just amplifies that experience. That is to say, so many divergent responses, so thoughtfully worked out. I actually am made to feel much better about the whole examination process by virtue of the diversity both of the submissions offered for evaluation and then the responses of evaluators. It's been very illuminating for me to go through this set of exercises.
Yes.
Sunil, you want to say something?
Well, I will ditto what Professor Jonathan has said, and it was a lovely exercise. And I totally agree with him when he says that the process was very, very interesting. And I love the way the same different responses and the manner in which I love kids have examined it, and I must congratulate them on the great job they've done. And thank you so much. I have learned a lot from the manner in which they have put forth their points. And thank you very much, Pramesh, for involving me in this exercise. Over to you.
Mine, sir.
Professor Chandrasekhar.
I think his photograph and disappeared.
So maybe Pramesh, can we ask Jagriti and Mehul to also respond as panelists?
Jagriti and Mehul are going to give the concluding remarks to the whole thing. So I want to.
I think Shekhar is.
Yeah, Professor Chandrasekhar is back. Yes.
Yes.
The floor is all yours.
Hi. Sorry. How much? 2 minutes, I'll finish. I really enjoyed everybody's comments that they gave on our responses to what we wrote. It was very, very, very thought provoking, and there were very, very analytical people out there. I can tell you that right now. It's very important. Very nice. Anyway, so for the people who are giving exams after the pandemic, don't stress too much. I'll give you a brief. The biggest challenge that people face is fear of failure, right? Of fear, any kind of fear is basically the mother of all fears is the fear of death. So why we fear the exams? Because we feel that if we fail, then we'll not get a job. If we don't get a job, we'll not be able to feed whosoever are responsible to be fed. We can't pay mortgage, so we'll die. So so eventually all the fear leads to death only, right? So let's clear out this whole misconception about death. Death is the biggest lie in the world. The worst lies we have been fed and told throughout ages. There is no such thing as death. Now, you'll say, what about body which dies? No, the body was never living to start with. There is something which made it alive, right? So the embodied made the body alive, and embodied never dies, and body was never living. So how can it die? So there is no such thing as death. Now, again, as a matter of energy, let's say if you have studied thermodynamics in your life, you will say that everything is energy. It can be converted from one form to another form. It is a death of the form, but that's all. Stuff never dies. So from that angle also, you'll see that death is a false concept forced upon. So anyway, so that's where, but how do you go about removing the fear now? Fear is real for some people, right? It was real for me too, long time ago. Then I understood, because of my own understanding in neurosciences, it's there. So let's talk about why fear causes paralysis, neurodegeneration, inflammation, all kind of disease because of fear, right? So fear has to be taken care of first. So now with fear, what happens? There is an increase in cortisol level, big, huge increase in cortisol. And that cortisol, the first target is immune system. The first ever target, it is not the brain, it is the immune system which starts. So when with the faulty immune system, inflammation happens. That inflammation affects the entire body. And then the body itself is crumbling now. And that is what it is all about. So let's stop this fear by taking 7 deep breaths. This is what my mother taught me. How to, I was very fearful throughout my life. Every exam was
One of the
a being
advantages,
like it's just
one of the
because,
advantages,
hello? Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
one of the
Hello?
advantages of friend is one of the advantages of being an old friend is you can tell the professor enough is enough. Let's call it a minor before you go further into the details of fear and the details of the mind, because Meinl is a neuroscientist. So he knows the inner workings of the brain and how, when, where it goes. And once he starts, you
Yeah,
can't
stop
stop
me
him.
anytime,
Unless you're
okay?
a rude, unless you're a rude monster like me. So Meinl, I'm finishing. I wanted to
Good, good,
end it
good.
by 11:10, so I'm stopping you here. So we'll leave it at that. And now I want Jagriti and Mehul to step in. I thought of them as sort of bridges between the first year, second years, third years, and between
Okay, okay.
so please give your inputs about or your thoughts or your reactions to, and how will it help
Okay, okay.
you, or how you as relations. Floor is yours. Jagriti, Mehul.
A loud round of applause for our alumni who have chosen to teach. Very few young people now get into teaching.
Thank
The floor is all yours. Decide who speaks first.
Okay, so very quickly, I would like to
I
talk about the act of writing just for like very short while. So all this exercise was
who speaks
built
first.
around writing. Students write. Whenever we were an examiner, then always have this observation that whenever exam scripts are turned into me, I find them very much same, because all of the students have a set objective idea of what grading will be like. So they turn in a set type of answer script, and all the answer scripts seem the same to me. And with this exercise that Pramesh sir has done, um, like it was a very pleasant breath of fresh air that I found a very diverse type of writing. Um, and even Ankur Bashar's poem speaks about the act of handwriting. So writing by hand, it's just not uh, an objective answer, but it is also an expression of identity. It is like a medium of change. So that when we are talking about Parkinson's disease, we are talking about movement, to move. And I would like to say of writing as an agent of movement, not just physically, but also to move the hearts of whoever is the reader of that writing. So I would like all the students to learn that your writing can be creative, can be as diverse as the writing of each of the panelists over here, which was very diverse, very done in their own style, and right out of their own heart. So yeah, we can learn that. That would be my key takeaway. And also the fact that when we are writing, it's a very powerful medium. Even students like who are young to literature, if they can write well and very originally, they can evaluate the giants over here and mark them 40 out of 100 or 50 out of 100, and provided that they provide the justification and the logical backing to it through their words. So that was what I concluded from this piece. Thank you.
Jagriti,
Yes,
your
sir.
comment.
So when Ramesh sir first shared the idea of this experiment, I was reminded of what I.A. Richards did almost a century ago. And the results that we've just seen, the students marking the answers and the results that we've seen are as interesting as what I.A. Richards found, if not more. And I was reflecting on all this and while hearing the students and thinking about more questions that could be posed now that we have the panelists here. The very nature of academic writing, it raises questions on the very nature of quote unquote academic writing, and how do we perceive academia in general, and what is academic writing. So, and also another thing that some of the students mentioned while they were grading Professor Jonathan's essay, for example,
was how he has not dealt with some parts of the text. That is what they mentioned, and that also raised another question in my mind as to, is it ever possible for us to deal with all parts of the text? Can we ever deal with the text in its entirety? So these were some of the questions that were running in my mind. And as of the experiment, I absolutely enjoyed being a part of this. I am really glad and grateful that exercise that we just did. So thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really looking forward to
Thank you
other.
very much, Agita.
Thank you, sir.
We have one person who is of seminars and conversations and so on. That's Anubha.
I'm really looking forward to other.
To round off, and then we'll call it a day. I'll just read out one passage from another comment by a student after Anubha, and then we'll call it a day. Anubha, please, your flow.
Okay, you were looking for a comment to read. So maybe you can add it to when you find it. So a great thank you to all the panelists and all the students who are attending this exercise. It's very interesting how the teacher became the topic and the subject of an exercise. So I had this initial reservation about it because, we as teachers, sorry for the flight overhead, uh, at least the world has started moving now. Uh, so our indoctrination as teachers have been, we don't talk about ourselves, how we evolve, how we grow. But the pandemic has taught us how we are struggling with the pandemic as teachers, as academia. Why can't we bring issues center stage, which impacts everybody's lives? And when Jagriti talks about how we see academia now, I think it has taken a shift where in the beginning, I said how the boundaries of the personal and the professional has collapsed. The empathetic space that we are providing to voices through the pandemic to tackle the fear, which Professor Manuel talks about. How do we tackle the fear? One of the ways we were doing it, we were lending a hand as community, as individuals, and saying, we cannot let this happen to any of us. Can we continue to build the Noah's Ark while we go through the pandemic? So I take a huge satisfaction the way it has turned out. Our alumni, the bright students who have gone back to academia as teachers. So I think that we have managed to build a continuum of sorts through personal pandemics, through pandemics, and let that remain center stage while we deal with the future pandemics of the world. Let that be a topic how academia would like to engage with and the students engage with it in building empathetic Sunil Tandon and Jagriti and Mehul and all of you who are attending it offline, Dr. Anand Saxena, Dr. Pramesh Ratnakar, who would love to say that he is Pramesh, he's the creator and he's the initiator of it all. So we give you the floor, Pramesh, to say that last sentence that you were looking for in order to wind up this webinar. Thanks to all of you.
I reluctant as I am to let go of also, this is the last bit. Just the last paragraph written by a student.
Can we also see you online, Pramesh? Can you switch on your camera? Yeah.
I'm asking.
Yeah. We can see you.
I'll read it out. Okay, I'll read it out. You're not able to hear it.
Excuse me, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, Abhipsha.
Now read it out.
Yeah. So Pramesh sir asked me to read out an essay, a small part, a small comment, then another student graded. Zindagi imtihan behti hai is a very good start. Sorry, is a very good start. Life is of trials and tribulations. It will all, but is what we make of it. Treating something deliberately as a game excites you instead of making you despondent and morose. However, there is no game that lasts forever. Every game has trends, and I think Sun knows and accepts that. But to see him fighting every day, game or not, is inspirational itself. He does not engage in self. Sir does not stop. He doesn't want to. The cliff does not signify the end for him. He'll walk. No, he'll run as long as the spirit of the universe is in his soul. What more can we want from life? And is it true that he always has to like it? And is it true that he's and it is true that he always has like it? It was a commentary by Tanisha.
Does it? Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Wow, round of applause for all of us that we managed to make it happen. Thanks for participating.
Thank you. And bye-bye.
Good job, Pramesh. Thank you, Dr. Sen, Dr. Arak, Jagriti, Mehul, Sunil. Sunil, sir.
Worth staying up for.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. This has been really nice.
Yeah. We should have more often like this, right?
Yes, something like this should happen more often.
And you know what?
Ramesh,
Next
we
time,
need more of this.
next time we need to have a better internet connection or a better camera
Yeah.
so that it doesn't move. The camera should be static, and that's important. Those are the few pointers I would like to say, that to have a good Zoom meeting, it's always a great idea to have a good steady camera, where big wide angle camera, maybe it will be worthy. I think I have this particular thing. I have this particular camera sitting on my desktop here. This has a wide angle and it is much more sharper. It has a good pickup. Everything is great.
Great.
So if this is like, I don't know, $16, $17, it's just not too expensive, but it's a great thing to have it on sitting on the thing. So next time I would appreciate, Pramesh, if you get this from the university, that will be great.
This is the input for the ICT Center. Sudhakar ji, if you are tuned in.
Why doesn't the University of Chicago do something? All join in. You will have better equipment and we will participate.
But you still,
The thing is not.
You will have better
I don't
equipment
know
and we will
whether you have
participate.
fiber optics,
I know,
whether you have
great.
fiber optics or whether it's again through, I don't know what means. But yes, that connection
Yeah.
needs to be
It does.
showed up.
Some
a
booster
bit,
has to be
definitely.
put up there.
Yeah.
I mean,
But this is what
Jonathan, nobody is
Last
ending.
word
You
is-
better wrap
no,
it up.
last word is for the students. My experience in the private sector, what they are learning is invaluable, because I have seen presidents of companies and CEOs of companies who can't write 4 straight lines properly. And it's a skill which is very, very highly needed and valued, especially out there in the market. So what they are learning is absolutely phenomenal, and they'll do very well in life. I can assure you of that. Whether you get 40 marks out of 100 or 100 out of 100, if you know how to write well, you are there in the market, because there's such a paucity of skills out there in the market. And I've seen people drawing fat salaries of 1 crore rupees who can't write 4 straight lines properly.
I'm still learning, by the way.
So that's a great skill which the children are.
I think the analytical aspects of children is just praiseworthy.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Brilliant.
No doubt.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take
Thank
care.
you so much.
Pramesh.
Thank you.
And love you all, the kids. Thank you, Dr. Sen.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank
you.
That was
Everybody.
appreciated. It was such a nice. We should get
Big
in
hand
touch
for all of us.
sometime.
Big Big
No.
Okay. Good night. I mean, good morning, whatever.
Good morning. Good
Good
night.
afternoon.
I'm going to
Jonathan,
leave now.
thank you for staying up. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much for
Good
coming.
night.
Uh, on behalf of Zest, etc.
So, now I would like to invite Nandana PR, the Vice President of Zest, to propose a vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Nandana PR, Vice President of Zest, the English Literary Society of the Department of English, Deen Dayal Upadhyaya College, University of Delhi, deem it a great honor and privilege to be here today for today's session, Post-Pandemic World, Re-Evaluating Evaluation. And it's so rewarding to be here today for this session with the speakers, Professor Jonathan and we and all the family members being supporting and every step of the way. I would like to thank Douglas and Ashuma from the previous support being with us, and we would like to thank Ravi sir and without help and support. In addition to that, I'm expressing my overwhelming gratitude to each and every single person who has managed to find time. We would like to pleasure being here. Last but not least, I would like to thank the team members who are under.
Thank you so much. So we'll be ending the